here on NewsNation on the case of Luigi Mangione, accused in the murder of the UnitedHealthcare CEO. The DA here in Manhattan has just unveiled a first-degree murder charge against Mangione. One count of murder in the first degree in furtherance of terrorism from Bragg's office. Again, just in. Also, 2 counts of murder in the second degree. We already knew second-degree murder, which would be part of this, one of which is charged as killing it as an act of terrorism. Then, on top of that, 2 counts, criminal possession of a weapon of the second degree, 4 counts, criminal possession of a weapon of the third degree, 1 count, criminal possession of a weapon of the fourth degree, 1 count, criminal possession of a forged instrument in the second degree. The new charges just unveiled by Alvin Bragg's office here in New York against Luigi Mangione. Let's get to trial attorney Misty Marris, who's with me here in the studio in New York. We're just looking during the break at the charges as it breaks. First-degree murder. Reaction?
Right, absolutely. So we knew that there was a probable cause affidavit out there, the arrest warrant for second-degree murder, but now we see that the district attorney, before a grand jury, has upgraded the charges to first-degree murder. We talked about this before. In New York, there's a very specific statutory enumerated list of certain crimes that can qualify as first-degree murder. One of them is in furtherance of an act of terrorism. And that can mean targeting the insurance industry, a government-regulated industry. So that's likely the angle that Alvin Bragg put before the grand jury.
Is that the legal definition in New York of terrorism, which you think of violence and furtherance of some sort of a political goal or aim or goal, right? That's what you think of terrorism as, just colloquially. But that's the legal definition here in New York of terrorism?
The legal definition can be targeting a civilian population. It can also be trying to coerce or intimidate to change a government policy or to intimidate a government regulation. So this is how I think the insurance industry and the manifesto, which specifically talks about targeting the CEO. Remember one of those lines in the manifesto. How about we go after him at his bean counter conference, right?
Yes.
So specifically relating to the insurance industry, that's likely how we see this charge upgraded to that first-degree murder.
And the difference here is, in terms of sentencing, is one thing, right?
Correct. So the minimum is much higher for a first-degree murder charge, and you also have other aggravating factors that could be enhancements on sentencing, meaning having a lower minimum sentence when you're talking about not only first-degree murder, but first-degree murder relating to that furtherance of act of terrorism.
Does it surprise you at all, or you see as any kind of a legal stretch for Bragg, or this is right on what you think is within the bounds, so to speak?
Second-degree murder, this fits what we saw on that horrible video and what we know about the allegations of a premeditated crime does fall well within the 4 corners of second-degree murder in New York. We talked about it. In other states, it would be more like a first-degree murder when you're talking about premeditation. Here, it really depends on what else they have and what we don't necessarily know about that puts it into that next-level category, specifically with that angle relating to terrorism. So to the extent that there's more information out there that puts this into that box, it's probably not a stretch, but it's certainly going to be a higher burden to show from the prosecution perspective.
It is an interesting kind of development. Some of this has been predictable the last few days and what we've been watching, but this came, as a little bit of a surprise in terms of we were ready for second degree, and then Bragg goes up to first degree. So we'll see where we go from here. While you're here, I want to spend a few minutes on this case out in San Francisco. I mentioned it right at the top of the show. We'll just set it up for people who don't remember the background. They had 7 days of deliberations, and the verdict came in earlier. The tech entrepreneur named Nima Momeni was found guilty in the fatal stabbing of the Cash App CEO, Bob Lee. Now, Momeni faces 16 years to life. In this case, the jury convicted him of second-degree murder. This is second-degree murder. Now, Lee's killing, if you remember the whole story, sparked a debate over crime and safety in San Francisco after the pandemic. He was found, bleeding to death, literally on an empty street in the early hours of April 4th, 2023. He called 911. He was begging for help and then died soon after at the hospital. Well-known guy in the tech sector, CEO of a company, and his death set off kind of a backlash out in the valley. Some people, including Elon Musk, denounced San Francisco's criminal justice policies. And then today, after the verdict, the DA called out Musk by name, saying this verdict proves that the city has a commitment to justice. Watch.
We all know that after Bob Lee was murdered, Elon Musk took to Twitter to make an effort to really shame San Francisco and to make it seem like this was about lawlessness in San Francisco and about what's going on out in our streets. And we knew it was something different.
All right. It was personal, right, Misty?
It was personal. It was between the victim and the defendant, who's now been convicted. And this is interesting, Connell, because we were just talking about the difference between first and second degree murder in the context of New York. Very different in California. Premeditation being one of the main issues with the first degree murder charge. In that case, he was not convicted of first degree murder, convicted of second degree murder. And his story had been that they had gotten into an argument. He was acting in self-defense.
Right.
He actually had walked away, so he did not realize that he was injured in such a profound way, and that ultimately that resulted in his death. That's what the defense argued. So it really fell under that second category of more like an extreme emotional disturbance type issue.
Because there was a relationship between Bob Lee, who's the guy who was killed here, and Momeni's sister.
Correct.
And then I remember the text, we have it, and we can put it up on the screen, I believe, from Momeni's sister that was sent to Bob Lee. And the text read, I just wanted to make sure you're doing okay, she said, because I know that Nima came way down hard on you. This is the text right now. Thank you for being such a classy man and handling it with class. So I guess, that might have made people, believe that Nima was kind of out to get him. But,
Right, but instead we had more of what would be like a heat of passion type argument that the jury ended up convicting on that second degree murder. But this just kind of illustrates the point we were talking about before. The murder statutes are different in every state. It's very specific. The language of the statute matters for what degree somebody's ultimately charged and convicted with.
Somehow you know all the statutes from all the states, even when the news is breaking in real time, which we always appreciate. Thank you, Misty.
Thanks, Connell.
Everything, Misty Marris.